Myrlie Evers Williams, unlike some of the other people that we have in the museum, is still alive. We have President Barack Obama in the museum, and as you know, he's very much alive. And so you don't have to be dead to be a figure in the museum. But Myrlie Evers Williams has been in the struggle for a long, long time. Myrlie Evers Williams was married to a man named Medgar Evers that you're also going to be learning about. Medgar Evers was sent to Mississippi to fight against voter suppression, meaning the effort to take away the vote from black people. They were, even though black men were given the right to vote with the 15th Amendment to the Constitution, right after slavery, there were any number of efforts, they threatening them with violence, lynching them when they went to the polls to vote, even though they had the right to vote. Women, including black women, did not have the right to vote until the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. That was in 1920, when black women got the right to vote. But Myrlie Evers Williams and her husband Medgar joined forces with people in the NAACP, and he was sent to Mississippi to register blacks to vote and to carry on a voter registration drive. That didn't sit well with the Ku Klux Klan and other white men who did not want to see black people get the right to vote, black people fight against and not have to be under the thumb of discrimination and racism. And so Medgar was going into his house one night. Shots rang out by a man named Myrlie saw her husband Medgar die right before her and her children. And that almost destroyed her. But she spent her life fighting for justice for Medgar. There is a movie starring Whoopi Goldberg, the actress Whoopi Goldberg, where she plays Myrlie Williams. There is an actor from Saturday Night Live who does the impression of President Trump. Alex Baldwin, who was the prosecutor in that effort to get justice for Myrlie. They fought. His family was threatened. The lawyer that the prosecutor that was attempting to fight this case and get Mr. Della Beckworth, his children and wife, and he were threatened. They had to run out of their house when they were told that there was a bomb. Turned out not to be true, but those people who fought for justice, often their lives are on the line. That was the way it was for Myrlie. But she continued to fight for Medgar, to get justice for Medgar, who was trying to get the right to vote for you and for me.
There was an unveiling of the wax figure of Medgar Evers' wife, wonderful woman who stood by her man throughout the civil rights struggle. And when Medgar Evers was assassinated, well, she was there bearing the grief, but she made such a contribution by
from the Great Blacks in Wax Museum. Are you in the audience, Dr. Martin?
And I have to say about my mother's sister, who was actually an only child, but her sister is Hazel Dukes. Thank you, Auntie Hazel. especially to the board for being so supportive of this measure. And I'd like to turn it over to quickly Dr. Martin, if you want to say anything. Yes. I'm so glad to see you.
I take what I do very seriously because we get a chance to preserve someone's legacy. I'm always grateful to family members and people who knew the personalities that we try to capture in wax. And one of the things that I'm proud of as I've gone through this journey with Rena, aside from the fact that I called her at 8 o'clock our time, not knowing that she was on the West Coast, and therefore she said, Dr. Martin, could you call me back a little bit later? It's 5 o'clock here. But she's been gracious, and I feel that we have been entrusted with the legacy of Medgar Evers, and now the legacy of Merle Evers Williams. I am truly grateful. I'm grateful too that Merle and I were associated with great men, but more importantly, good men, and we truly know the difference. Thank you.
I know they want to take pictures, but I have one special person that I'm asking to come up.
Medgar Evers was a native of Decatur, Mississippi, attending school there until being inducted into the U.S. Army in 1943. Despite fighting for his country as part of the Battle of Normandy, Evers soon found that his skin color gave him no freedom when he and his 5 friends were forced away at gunpoint from voting in the local election. Despite his resentment over such treatment, Evers enrolled in Alcorn State University, majoring in business administration. While at the school, Evers stayed busy by competing on his school's football and track teams, also competing on a debate team, performing in the school choir, and serving as president of the junior class. He married classmate Merle Beasley on December 24, 1951, and completed work on his degree the following year. The couple moved to Mount Bayou, Mississippi, where T.R.M. Howard had hired him to sell insurance for his Mutual Life Insurance company. Medgar Evers' job was a civil rights activist. He worked for civil rights of African American people, but also all people. His work also included voting rights for people. As you heard earlier, he fought for his country, and even after fighting for his country, he and his friends were not allowed to vote. Stay tuned for additional information about Medgar Evers.
Hello, my name is Chanel Bryant. I am a docent at the Great Blacks in Wax Museum. A docent is a person who basically goes through the museum and tells you about who the figures are in the museum. The first one I'm going to start on with is Shirley Chisholm. I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am Black and proud. I am not the candidate of the women's movement of this country, although I am a woman and equally proud of that. If you are from Brooklyn, New York, you probably have heard of a lady named Shirley Chisholm. Before Barack Obama began as the first black president and Hillary Clinton ran as a candidate for the Democratic Party, there was Shirley Chisholm, who was both a black woman and both black and a woman. And the first woman, black or white, to run for president in a major party in the United States. Shirley Anita Hill was born on November the 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. Part of her childhood, she lived in Barbados with her grandparents. While she was receiving her education, she got a British education, so she also spoke with a slight British accent when speaking to her. And her parents worked during the Depression in the Bed-Stuy neighborhood of New York and Brooklyn. While many African women were housekeepers, nannies, cooks, in the 1940s, Shirley Chisholm was getting her bachelor's degree in Brooklyn College in sociology. And 3 years after that, she got a master's in early childhood education. A reorganization in her neighborhood convinced her to run for Congress. Chisholm roamed the new district in a sound truck and pulled outside of housing projects with a loudspeaker, announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fighting Shirley Chisholm coming through." Shirley Chisholm became the first black U.S. Congresswoman in history as a representative of New York. And in January of '72, she became the first black person to run for the nomination of the Democratic Party ticket under the phrase, "I'm broad and unbossed." From the beginning, nobody took her seriously as a candidate. Her main supporters were just black women, so black men, and white women were not supporting her. Her biggest opponents, of course, were white men. In fact, the biggest opponent of her was George Wallace, who was a segregationist in the South, who said segregation now, segregation forever. However, she ran, but knew that she wasn't going to win. Her main goal, though, was to let the nation know that it was possible for a black person to run and being taken seriously as a president. Her run for president was made even harder by racists who wrote the N-word on her campaign posters and left threatening messages to her. Chisholm died in 2005, 3 years before the United States would have its first black president.